That's how we own it.
What's up, y'all? I'm your girl, Tamika D. Mallory.
And it's your boy, MYSONNE, the General.
And welcome to Street Politicians,
the place where the streets and politics meet.
We're covering all types of issues. New week, new show, new issues, lots happening. But
Lots.
The same old authentic you and me.
You know, keeping it real.
Ones.
You know how we do it.
That's what we do.
Real is rare, baby.
Real is definitely rare. And there's a lot happening, as always, across the nation. People are dealing with holidays. They're dealing with COVID. They're dealing with a new administration and just our regular everyday issues. And we're going to be talking about all of that.
All of it. All of it.
So that brings me to my thought of the day. That was kind of cool, right? You see? Thought of the day.
Thought of the day.
You like that, right?
It's a little something.
It's
a nice little segment.
A little bit your idea.
Listen.
Everything that is
That's
your
what I'm trying to
idea.
say. Everything that has to do with something that's branding and, you know, that's dope, I usually have some type of input.
A little bit.
I'm just saying, look.
I saw you do thought of the day.
You know what I'm saying?
I was like, oh.
Well, look.
You know, with this holiday situation, everybody's buying everything. And we're encouraging people to buy black. But I struggle with this one issue. Are we just buying black and not worrying about black excellence? Like, is it okay for us to support businesses and not require of them that they be excellent in the ways in which they operate?
I mean, I think that's a good question, but I think there has to be a real conversation about what we call excellence and whether we hold them to a standard of somebody who has $1 million company, who has, resources that they don't have, or whether we walk into a place that we know is owned by somebody black and understand that they might not have those resources and we can push them to that. We can elevate them and say, hey, give them tips or say, hey, or invest in it. Invest in that company or that organization and say, yo, I see what you're doing. It could be better if you did this. I'm willing to invest in that. I think a lot of times, we hold our people to a standard we don't hold nobody else to. We don't ask, where's the money going? And what did you do with this? Or why am I investing in that? We support other organizations and other, ethnicities without any level of scrutiny.
No questions asked.
So of course we should.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
But what I'm talking about is something different, right?
So what are you
like
talking
even within our organization, Until Freedom, we had a bit, which you told us, don't start selling merchandise until you can actually push out the orders. Because you were saying, I've experienced this. I had trial and error. I know how much of a job it is. And we on the road in Kentucky and Georgia and all these other places, and we're not able to sit still and focus on this job. Now we've hired a person who is managing it and doing a really good job of getting all of the orders out and all of that. So we figured it out. And so there is a trial and error part. But we recognize that there was a problem and we are rectifying it.
That's what I mean.
And by the way, we're rectifying it and we hired someone that we hope to make enough money to be able to pay them. So we doing like the 3-card Molly game right now. We ain't really got the salary in the bank, but we think the merchandise will sell enough to be able to pay this person, right? That's the deal. So I get you. The resources are not there to just open up a Macy's or whatever and sell our clothes, our merchandise and all of our branded Until Freedom stuff. But there is something to be said about people who don't want to change. They think it's already fine the way it is. And they use that excuse, my son, that, well, we don't have the same money that everybody else has. It's not. So what? It still should be customer service. Things should still be clean. Your facility should be clean.
Yeah.
You should be on time. That's another big problem, especially for somebody like me, when you're talking about hair and, the services that we need. People complain all the time, well, you should go to black-owned businesses. And I do, my hairstylist, all of them. And they because I'm so busy and because they are business people themselves. They understand the importance of getting me in and out, of coming to the house or meeting me on the side of the road, and whatever they have to do. But I have worked with people who are chronically late, who are just disrespectful. They act like they're paying you to do a service for you. Yeah. And I'm challenged with, on my social media and other things, I never want to talk about this issue because I'm not trying to hurt Black businesses. But at the same time, there has to be somebody to call our attention that we've got to raise the level of excellence with how we put products in the world.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think for me, excuse me, I understand exactly what you're saying. And I'm not saying that we should expect less from Black people who are in business. What I'm saying is you have to look at the individual, you have to look at the organization, you have to look at the company, and you able to tell why if they have more resources, they'd probably be bigger. Mm-hmm. Probably when you looked at even with the Nipsey Hussle's brand, right? Mm-hmm. He had never sold as many things. So when he passed away, the organization took months to get people their thing because they weren't capable. It wasn't that they were just, they were incompetent. Exactly. Mm-hmm. It's just that they didn't have the bandwidth to actually supply the order. So it was something new. So when you look at things in that aspect, cool. I'm saying if you have somebody who does your hair that you give thousands of dollars to on a regular basis and they're constantly late, that means that person is just not professional. The individual is not professional.
Yeah, so, but you can't say that because then they'll say,
no, but you can say that.
You should have worked with her. He.
No, because that means if you if I tell you, say, hey, I know that you're a little busy sometimes, this and that, but I have a schedule, and it's customary when you're a customer that you reach out and give somebody a courtesy call, say, I'm not going to make it on time. Or you're honest about this when you set a date and you set it. That's professionalism. You understand what I'm saying? So it's nothing wrong with expecting a level of professionalism and understanding and coming to a mutual agreement about somebody who you're paying your money to.
Right.
And of course you will want to, but the thing is, I'm not saying that because that one Black person doesn't fit you, you're gonna say, well, I'm just gonna go back to the regular, the people who've been doing whatever for me because it was this way. No. Find you another Black person that's professional because there are professional Black people that do it. So if we stand by Black, find you a professional Black. Don't just support any Black business that doesn't, fit up to your standards because they don't want to or they're not capable or doing things. Like I'm not gonna buy less quality something from Black person because they're Black. No, I will support a company that's on the uprise, that's growing. I'm like, I see the potential.
If you know me, I've been through many different hairstylists, makeup artists, regular style, clothing stylists, nail technicians. Like I've been through many, and I continuously support Black people. I am really grateful that at this point I found a team of individuals that really, first of all, they want to see me win. So that makes a big difference, right? They want to see me win, and so they're showing up knowing that they're a part of this movement that we're in, and their job is to help me be a little bit more comfortable and look better. So I have to say that about my team because they are the bomb. But at the end of the day, what I find, to your point about less quality, it's the people who they know how to do hair really well. They the ones that don't want to show up on time. They're the ones that have an attitude that they are the star of the chair. Like, it's not, you are supposed to be working for people. You know where else I've had issues? Black contractors. And by the way, I found many trash contractors. And I'm talking about contractors, I'm talking about like for your home, for renovations or whatever, construction workers. I have found that there's like some issues there, especially with women hiring car dealers. Like, you just get treated unprofessionally.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but I think it happens when Black women hire white men to do the same thing. They treat you unprofessional. So
but it's a different. Yeah, that's true, and I'm not gonna say white because not just white. Well, because this is not a white thing
outside of the Black race,
right?
Because
that's what I'm talking about.
I've gone to get services outside of the Black race and felt like somebody just didn't. They'll ask you, "You sure you can afford this?" They ask you a question like,
That's
so
true.
you got to ask What is it? What professionalism are you looking for? Are you comfortable with being marginalized or treated like you're not even supposed to be there by somebody that's not your race, or you want to deal with some of the level of incompetence to where they're not doing certain things that you want them to do?
I'm laughing because you know me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to deal with any of
So
it. Everybody that I spend my money with is going. How do I do when I go to a restaurant? What I do?
It's pretty much like the worst. You just want to hide your face because she'll sit there, and if the silverware is not clean and the lady's walking by, don't not hear her the first time because she says, "Excuse me." Oh, excuse me. This silverware is not clean.
Rude.
Not rude. She does. It's not. It's very. It's just the octaves.
Assertive.
Is very raised. Excuse me. This silverware is not clean.
But why do you want to eat off a dirty silverware? I don't understand why you want to hide your face when the glass is dirty. Man, I'm finished.
And then she'll eat the food and say, "This food, I'm not going to take it back, but the food was cold. I asked for a certain thing. It didn't get that, but don't worry about it." Or then she'll say, "You know what?
I'm just trying to help them be better. I'm trying to help them be great."
And then she'll get something and be like, "No, I don't. This is not done properly. I asked you for a drink, and I said no salt, and it tastes like you poured it back in with the salt on it. I don't want you to pour it back in with the salt on it. I want it to have no salt. I want a new drink. I don't want this one poured into a new." Like,
everyone knows this about me.
This is what she does.
But I don't. But a good point that you made is that I do not ask for a discount, or that just because I didn't love it that I now don't want to pay. I don't do that. I just tell them, listen, I ate the food, or I did. I participated. I partake in the meal or whatever. But I don't appreciate these things that happen. And hopefully they will make changes. And sometimes I go back. But see, I learned the service business specifically from going to Sylvia's restaurant in Harlem since I was a kid. I'm not saying it's perfect. Nothing is perfect, okay? Because my son was a busboy there, and I used to have to get on him like, move it. But he knows how hard he worked and how much they worked towards excellence. Sylvia, the owner of the restaurant, God rest her soul, and the family runs and operates every single level of the business, from the chefs to the administration to the event planning and all of that. I learned from them. One, touch and feel your customers. Miss Sylvia, as I said, God rest her soul, she used to go to every single table in that restaurant herself, not the manager, not the whomever. She went and walked around and made sure that people were good at the tables, touch and feel, talk to them. How did you like it? It wasn't hot? Oh no, you're not going to eat that and it's not hot. Throwing that out. We getting you something else. Her children learned that. And all her grandchildren, which there are many of my 3GW cousins, and they love you and love us, and it's family. When you go there as a cousin who might be coming from out of town, and you think you're going to sit down at the bar, when it get busy, they get up from eating with their own friends. They could be in a meeting doing something that is not working for the restaurant. They're not all on the payroll. They get up, they start moving tables, busting things down, taking care of business, because that's how they were trained, that the only way this business will sustain itself, where they have now purchased half the block, more than half the block, is because we all have to participate in the excellence, the movement for excellence for the black race. And that's what I want to see.
Well, I appreciate that. And I agree. But and it started with no money, no resources. She was frying chicken with a little counter. Okay? I think that's a lost art. I think customer service is really a lost art. Most people are so frustrated that they have a job. Most people aren't working in professions and in places where they actually enjoy doing it. Right. So they mad that they there. You walk up to them, they're like, okay, what you want? There's no trying to. I think when she started her business, it was her passion.
It was a different thing.
It was her love. She like, I'm gonna cook my food. I'm gonna have my people in here. So it's different. And I think we have to get back to that. We have to expect excellence. We want people to get into jobs that they enjoy, that they love doing. Customer service is very important. If you have a service business, Customer service is very important. I'm trying to explain to you.
Because you always say why people don't do business.
They
to
just
have
don't do good.
customers.
Why? Because it's the worst thing. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to do janky business. Nobody wants to. You say you're gonna do something and you don't do it, or you don't call. They gotta call you 1,000 times. It's not done properly. Like, I just want to get back to us doing business properly. There
Yeah.
was a time where you can expect that if somebody said they was gonna do something, they did it. So let's get back to good customer service.
Doing good business. Man.
Good business.
I'm telling you, that should be a movement by itself. It's
It
just
should.
doing good business.
It
And
definitely
we all
should.
can learn. We all can learn. We all can do better. I know for me, I certainly am learning and growing, and the experience, and I do not like mess associated with my name. And the issue that we had with the Until Freedom merch taught me a lesson of one, sometimes we might want to listen to Mysonne. Just every now and then.
Duh.
Linda and I,
Mysonne
we
knows
may
what he's talking
need to
about.
listen to Mysonne because
You
you
know
might
Mysonne.
know a little bit about a little bit.
I mean, I know a thing
But
or
the
two
other
about a
thing
thing or two.
it taught me is the whole, which we know that preparation is key, and so being prepared. And
Preparation
ready.
prevents poor performance.
Poor performance. Okay, well that's good. What else is going on?
The streets is talking.
The streets are always talking. I tell you every week, the streets talk too damn much.
That's a fact. That's why so many people going to jail, and that brings me into
That's why people
what the
go to
streets
jail
is
because
talking
it be
about.
too much talk.
Because it's too much talking. So, scamming. You know, holidays, people trying to figure out how they going to get the PS5. You know, they trying to get the new jacket, you know, the new fashion. Kids want all types of toys. And a lot of people are focusing on scamming. It's a new thing. It's like a trend. You know, somebody knows somebody to get it for cheap that'll swipe it if you give them this and that. You know, and I'm hoping that our kids understand that this right here is one of the biggest ways that they get you. You know, this is why I say that poverty is violence. You know, because when you don't have, you try to figure out ways to cut corners, and you get caught up in certain things. And what we do through this holiday season, you know, if you out here scamming, it's going in about 3 or 4 months you're gonna be in a prison cell.
Yeah, it's real dangerous because first of all, we're talking about the holiday season, but actually this scamming issue has been going on for a little bit longer, which is throughout this whole time with the the loans, the
PPE.
the stimulus money. I know that there have been people applying for unemployment that actually didn't have a job.
Listen, I seen more money in the hood than I've ever seen.
Yeah, with some and that's why some people were like, "Oh, we like Trump." They don't know it takes Congress to actually help, you know, to put a stimulus package forward, and of course, other branches of government and the president and all those individuals have to come together and agree on it. But the president, Donald Trump, did not give us a dime. Okay, it doesn't work like that. But anyway, I digress from that. The point of the matter is that I see it too, right? Like I'm not gonna sit here and act like we don't see people moving around with things that
people
they're
that had $5 yesterday, they got about 500,000
and no job because this is a
Nothing.
pandemic.
It's a pandemic.
This not even now. There's some folks who just came up because their ideas, you know, some of their innovative strategies to make money have actually worked. And I remember at the beginning of the pandemic, I saw this post that said, "This pandemic will show you who can make it and who's broken, basically, who couldn't make it, right?" And it basically was talking even more in the post about how people with innovative ideas would be able to make a lot of money during this time. And those people who might have had popping businesses that don't know how to pivot, right? You'll see them
decline.
Their business will decline. And that's true.
Yeah.
One, the struggle of this moment, you see so many businesses. I mean, it is so heartbreaking.
It is, man.
We had been away living in Kentucky, which, by the way, even there in Louisville, businesses boarded up, you know, people struggling.
They're saying that at least in New York, that 50% of the businesses won't even reopen.
When we came back to New York, and I just had to like run downtown for something, I was looking around like, What everything
It looks like
is
I'm Legend
closed,
outside.
people. Yo, things are closed, and some of the places like you talking about delis and restaurants that are long standing, like they've become staples. Everybody goes to these establishments, and to have them closing down because of a
COVID.
pandemic, but
Yeah.
not even just a pandemic. It was the Trump demic, because of the way in which the pandemic was actually being handled, and still to
Or
this
not
day,
handled, actually.
not being handled. Exactly. You know, somebody said, I saw, Instagram is like, like the news.
It is. It's
But I
definitely
saw
the news.
someone say that, who was it? It was somebody important to us, that there has not even been a day of mourning that this administration has organized. Like, when almost 300,000 people die, the president of the United States
Supposed to
is
say,
supposed to stop everything
Dinner's happening.
and have people come together to pray and mourn those who have lost, who we have lost.
But that would take leadership. That would take a level of understanding of presidentialism. I create my word.
Yeah.
Presidentialism, which the president, the
But
current,
is it just leadership, or do you have to have a heart?
all of those things. But my thing is this: even if you don't have a heart, you have a common sense to know, if I really want to be a leader, then I would have to, let the people believe.
At least,
Even just fake. Even if
it.
you was faking it, you don't
Yeah.
even need a heart. Fake it because you understand it's the right thing to do.
Right.
Even if you didn't even agree, just say, you know what, these people are dying. Let's show that we actually care. Let's have a day of mourning. Let's celebrate the families who lost. Let's console the families who lost. This president has never had.
No.
He doesn't have.
He doesn't
couth.
wanna act like-
He doesn't have common sense. He doesn't have reasonable discernment. There's so many things that Trump lacks that I don't even.
We're not even
gonna
talking
talk about Trump.
because he doesn't want to even believe.
gone.
He doesn't want people to
He's
believe
gone.
that the pandemic exists.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the real thing. It's like trying to ignore it. Yeah, it's there, but it's not that important, and so we're not going to talk about it. But again, all of these folks have died, and we as a country, we as a nation have not paused to acknowledge and support. People lost their mother, their father, their kids. People lost 3 and 4
Whole
people
families.
in one family. Like, it's terrible, and it's just terrible. So, with that being said, the streets better know that in a few months, to your point,
Them indictments is coming down. I see them all the time.
well,
man.
we've been seeing them.
Like, damn, my boy Casanova got caught up in an indictment. I heard G Herbo caught up in indictment for actually supposedly swiping credit cards, allegedly. So it's like, this is what happens. The system is strategic. They're not giving you anything for free, young boy. You out there, you scamming, you running in these clubs, and you buying bottles, and you going into these establishments, and you think you getting over. No, they just building up a jacket for you, man. They building up your file, and they letting you think you getting away. And then what happens is, when things open back up, the feds got fresh cases they looking for. And they need new people in them cells. And they coming to get you because your fingerprint is all over the world. And scamming, to me, is the scary. Like, I don't understand scamming crime.
Yeah, they
because
walking with
it's
their
a-
face on the camera.
You have a
and-
digital fingerprint. You understand? You literally leaving your face. You leave it, and if you saying I ain't doing, somebody else is doing. Now you think
have-
somebody else ain't gonna tell on you that he gave me this. It doesn't make sense, man. I think common sense ain't common so much, man. I'm just saying, look, be smart, man. Don't get something that's gonna get you. They say all the time, trouble is the easiest thing to get into and the hardest thing to get out of.
Right.
So instead of scamming, be an entrepreneur. Figure out how to get multiple streams of income. Create something different. You know what I'm saying? The same energy that you put into doing something illegal that's going to probably end you in prison, put that same energy into doing something positive that is legal. I realized being in the streets that when I was doing negative things and I was putting all of this energy into negativity, when I decided to switch and put that same energy into something that I didn't have to run from the police and I didn't have to worry about whether somebody was going to arrest me or knock on my door, I got even more results.
Right.
You know, and
right.
Our next guest is a classic example of that.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
Mr. Bad boy turned entrepreneur, tech.
That's right.
You know, he's in cannabis. He's in so many different things, man. Like he's like a young mogul, man. You know, watching Ray J over the years, from sex tapes to beefs with this one to, you know, his multiple relationships, multiple entanglements, man, and just watching him navigate through that, being entertained by him, to see him grow into this entrepreneur that, you know, is doing all this big stuff in tech is motivational.
It is.
You know, and it shows us where we can come from, man. So I hope a lot of you young kids pay attention.
Pay attention to how you say, because you can make money.
Listen.
You can make
when you
money.
realize that, I was having this conversation yesterday, and I was like, yo, when you realize how easy it is to make money, when you focus on the right thing, and I think in our communities, we was always taught that the only way to make money was pretty much three, especially in marginalized communities, like three ways. You had to be into some crime, sell some drugs, you had to be a rapper, or you had to play a sport.
Right.
You know, so
everybody else was hard.
Everybody
they had
else
to work too hard.
Too hard. You seen your mother going to work, and you didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
But when you start to realize how many different things and ways that you can make money, it's
eye-opening.
It is so eye-opening.
And it just gives you breath of life. And that's why we have our brother Ray J joining us today.
Ray J is joining us today.
Right. So I don't really celebrate Christmas, but it's Christmas. Now, one thing I will say is that more businesses are investing in this idea of the Black Lives Matter movement right now.
Yes, it is.
It's not nearly enough. We won't claim it as being some type of victory, just throwing a few $1,000 at the problem. There has to actually be a commitment, and the companies have to change. If Black Lives Matter, it needs to matter from your corporate boardroom all the way down to how people are being treated, you know, on the floor, actually producing your product or working in your stores. And so there's a lot of work that still has to be done there. And I don't think that we have returned to a space where it's time for us to start spending this $1.4 trillion that Black people spend every year without some real demands for our money. However, you know, people still gonna buy Christmas gifts. That's the bottom line.
People got kids, and kids, you know, for me, like, I personally don't celebrate Christmas because, you know, understanding the history of it, and, you know, and one of the things that we said at the march was, you know, we want to take Christmas back from Santa Claus and give it back to Christ. Like,
we didn't say that at the march.
Well, I said
you
that.
said that in that amazing spoken word that you did. It was a speech.
It was a speech, spoken word
in a spoken word form, right? And you said that let's take the Santa Claus out of Christmas and give it back to Christ, right? And so, but still, people are buying gifts, and so if you're gonna buy
black. Buy blackity black. The
blackity black.
That's why we on the Black Effect Network.
That's right.
Blackity black. Buy black.
That's right.
Yes, ma'am.
And so our next guest is someone who has been a real, true advocate for Black entrepreneurship.
Yep.
In fact, when we were with him recently, he was like, yeah, you know, I can get into the political discussion all day, but I also want to talk about Black banks, Black business. And I think that that's the wave right now, where we can really focus on economic development and how that plays a role in addressing the concerns that our communities have, because we need to be self-sustainable, right?
Yep.
We need to be self-sustained, and I think one of the ways is to continue to increase continue to use our buying power as an opportunity, not just taking money away, but
putting money
in.
It's acknowledging them. You know, what we don't do is acknowledge our buying power. We utilize our buying power because we go out and buy anything. We're the number one consumers in the world, and we trillions of dollars that we spend, especially during these holidays. You know, so if we start to redirect that money back into our communities and make sure that we are making sure that people that look like us that come from our exact same realities, are benefiting from our spending, then at that point we can change our reality. Because I always say that poverty is violence. The number one cause of violence for me is poverty.
Yeah.
The number one cause of anything that's negatively affecting black people comes from poverty. So we can't be comfortable with poverty. I was having a conversation the other day, and some person said that we've got comfortable with the struggle, and we only embrace the struggle in poverty. And it's a mentality that because we've struggled so long that we've embraced it, and we try to make.
It's not cool.
It's not cool.
And we don't believe in it.
And we don't believe in
support
it
at all.
At all. Poverty is not okay.
It is violence.
It's definitely violence.
And I kind of went off, we just kind of drifted off into our critical analysis of this whole issue about spending money during this holiday season. And let's just clarify. I love Christmas. I do. I love Christ, obviously, and I'm a Christian. And it has the fact that I don't celebrate Christmas has absolutely nothing to do with me being sort of like against or being a religious thing.
I think for us, it's not really celebrate. We don't
tradition.
Exactly, we celebrate it, but we don't believe in having to spend all of our money
the
commercialization of Christmas.
That's what I don't participate in. And we went off, into a lot and did not bring on our guests. Who I'm so happy to have today. And if you are going to spend money, like we said, buy black, spend it with our own people. Yeah. We don't have to run out and get our headsets and all of that, all of our tech equipment from Apple, which is great. We support Apple too, but there are actually black brands who are putting out products that are just as good.
That's
and
right.
One of them is by our brother Ray J, who is with us right now, and Raycon is his product that is actually doing really, really well. So again, during this Christmas season, let's buy black and support our own family. What's up, Ray J?
What's up, baby?
Oh man, that's love. I appreciate that, y'all. Thank y'all for having me, man. That's a blessing to let people know that and let people know about the company. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Yes, sir. So let us know. You the crossover from TV and music into tech entrepreneurship. Like that's something that we have to celebrate. You started as a personality, and then understanding how everybody else is getting rich, how everybody else, other cultures are getting rich, and you tapped into that. Explain to the process. How did you get into the field of getting into tech?
Well, I started just kind of running my own company when I went on for my second album, Radiation. The first album was with Atlantic Records, and I had a song called Wait a Minute with Lil' Kim. That was like my first big record. But I started to kind of figure out how to run my own business and create my own template through marketing from just being turned down a lot, man. The labels, dropping me and just kind of being out there just alone. And then, you kind of like ask God for help. And then my mom and dad let me borrow some money. And that's when I made the album Radiation. And so I really just went guns blazing with that. And I found out how to create my own template through music. And eventually it wasn't giving me the return that I wanted. I was spending a lot of time doing music and putting all my soul and all my pain and passion into the music. But the return was kind of it wasn't enough for the time. So I just said, man, there's got to be another way. I felt like there was something else out there. And then that's when we started venturing into tech and got into the Scooty bike. And then eventually sold that company to a Canadian company named Loop, great company. Scooty bikes trading right now on the TSXV and on the OTC. Mm-hmm. And then I just went into Raycon, man. I needed a product that I felt people could afford. I felt it was a wide open lane. Dre kind of dominated on the headphone side, but the earbuds is just something new. It's something new. It was something, it was on the cutting edge of being successful. So we just took a dive at it. And 3 years later, man, we scaling every year, heavy. We just did, we did over 4 million in sales in the past 4 days over the Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend. And that scaled 4X from last year. So we've been, everything's been moving, man. God is good. We still got a long way to go.
When we first had this conversation a couple weeks ago, and you was talking, we wanted to talk about politics, and you said, yo, I want to sit down and talk about politics, but I want to talk about having black banks. Like, let's talk
Yeah.
about the finances and how those are the things that we really need to focus on. Like, so
I
what
think
what
we
is
need to definitely tap in. I mean, I think it's something important. I think everything that we doing is right, from raising awareness to marching to really just really trying to make sure that we get what we deserve. But also in the financial department too. Like, I mean, I don't even think there's like 4 or 5 actual black families that own a bank in America. I think there's like maybe 14 minorities total. And I have the number like wrong, but it's around in that area. But we don't own banks, and I think we should focus on owning banks, being bank owners, also, being stronger in stocks, just being more educated. I think if people knew what this stuff was and how simple certain things are, and it's not so complicated, I think people will dive in and start using their skills and what they're good at in different sectors of the world. Sports is cool and gaming is great too. But coding is great. I mean, it's just so many different things people can do in the tech business, or even in real estate. I just think we need to be educated more every day on our financial side of things, not just I mean, I can't say not just, because what's happening to us is extremely wrong, and I think that us changing the narrative on that is up first. So we got to get that done, but also there has to be an open mind to make sure our financial structure is in play.
I'm not just hearing, oh, Ray J has a great earbuds, but I'm hearing business. I'm hearing employees. I'm hearing the sustainability of our communities based upon this revenue driving that you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's important. It's important to put people in play. Like, I got all of my team in play, and most of my right hands are all on payroll from my companies. And then you got health benefits, you got all of these extra things that come with it. So I definitely want to make sure that I tap into the people that I know are creative. That is it just in my culture, hands down, because I try to tell people, like, people love us, right? They love us in tech. Like, you don't have to come in a meeting with a suit on. Come in with a white t-shirt on, some sweats and some flip-flops, and a great idea. That's all you need. You know what I'm saying? And speak the way you speak. Hit them with the slang. Hit them with the ooh-wop if you want to at the end of the pitch. They love that. You know what I mean? Because as long as the product is good and you being yourself, you can't lose. You can't lose being yourself.
what is the conversation? What is the movement that we all sit down and come up with a collective plan to change the things that we see that are wrong? Like, okay, we need to own a black bank. What is the process? What is the steps that we need to do? We need to own black banks. We need to get everybody into tech. We need to start focusing on coding. Like, what do you think that's going to take for us to get to that stage?
I think we gotta speak it out, kind of like how we protest.
Right.
I think it's gotta be a movement. And they gotta know that there's something positive gonna come out of the movement. And I think if people are understanding that, like, if you go on Instagram and you have 200 people or 100 people in your Instagram, 100 people. That's a lot of people.
Right.
Like, people go, you only got 100 people in your house. It can't happen, right? 100 people getting together and marching or moving or programming or putting something in people's ear every day. 100 turns into 300. Just the people that we talk to every day online. You can create these movements, and you can even create blockchains with just the 300 people inside of your Instagram following, right? And then create businesses through these power plays of 200 and 300 people. I just think the numbers are there. I think people just have to use the numbers that they have, whether it's 10, whether it's 20, 30, 50,
Right.
and try to
Start
bundle us
research.
all up and come up with a plan. So when we all say go, we go together. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And when we all say no, that's the most important. No. When we say no, it's no. We can't say no. We're going to all say no. And then a couple people say, nah, but I got to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's got to be complete. And if not, I just think that there's just a lot of work we got to do until it's there.
To change the
It might not happen
mindset.
this year, might not happen next year, but as long as we keep showing them the way and doing stuff like what we doing to open the door, it's inevitable.
What about music? Are you retired and you just into tech, or are we gonna get a Ray J album soon or a single
Yeah,
or
no.
something?
So I look at everything as numbers now, right? So I put out the album Radiation with One Wish. It just sold over, I think, 500,000 albums now. It's gold. And so what I did was I want to scale that album. So I put out another album called Radiation X, is what I'm releasing top of the year. It has all new songs, all new beats on One Wish, Melody, all the classic songs. We redid them, made them just epic, like 2021 versions. And Radiation X, the anniversary album, would be out top of the year.
All right, well, I'm gonna need a feature from you.
Oh Lord, he
You
Come on,
does
know,
fam,
I
let's
business
need you to
go.
sing
on
And
a
I
your
dope
also, I
level.
chorus.
also listen. Whatever y'all doing for the holidays with the charity, I was serious when we were
Yeah,
in Arizona. Like, we wanna support it. Raycon wants to help. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So whatever we got to put in to make sure that we did our thing. Let me know
We
when we get off the
appreciate
line. You
Definitely,
know,
you. We do. We
we're gonna make
appreciate
sure we
you.
get your investment, man.
Now you know I
for
gotta
sure,
just ask.
absolutely.
I have to ask this one question, right? Because what I love about you, and I think I sort of share this same attitude that we're not just one dimensional. You talked about that. We got a lot of things going on. But now people would say, why be on Love and Hip Hop if you are doing all these other great things and making money? Like, you're not hurting for money. We know that,
Well, I'm
right?
happy. That's one of the best questions anybody has ever asked me. Nobody's ever asked me this question.
Here you that's
Hey,
why you came to
that's
Street
why you came to Street
Politicians.
Politicians, baby.
It's one of the best questions. The reason why is because I freaking love it.
That's what you
Like when
said.
you well, listen, when you break the ice and you like, we started this reality show stuff. Like we were in the beginning, in the forefront of breaking the ice. And Love and Hip Hop's been number one since day one. Love for the Love of Ray J been number one. Brandy and Ray J Family Business, Bad Girls All Star Battle. I mean, I could keep going, right? This is what I love to do.
When you watch you in this show, you is such a comfort zone. You understand
Yeah,
what
I'm
I'm saying?
chilling.
Like you always in the same comfort zone. You don't look rattled. You don't look like you doing
It's
it for
almost like I got
TV.
my socks off.
Yeah, man.
It
It's
looked
like,
like he rattling people, but we ain't
yeah,
gonna talk about
yeah.
that
We ain't even gonna talk
today.
about
We gonna
the
leave that
scandals and all that.
alone
We
for
leaving
But
that alone.
I
today.
love reality. I love reality. I was able to produce 4 new shows on a new network called Zeus Network. VH1, Viacom, y'all know y'all got first priority. I love y'all. I would never do nothing wrong. But Zeus Network, we got it. We just did the Bad Girls All Star. I mean, the Bad Girls franchise. We did One More Chance with Chance. We did The Conversation with me and Princess, Masika and Hazel, A1 and Lyrica. Now we got 3 more crazy ones coming. So producing shows and putting them on the board, that's what we do. You know what I mean?
That's
And that's what I love to do. That's a hobby of mine. It's just fun.
We
Yeah.
appreciate the education today. What you're talking about is exactly where we need to go, especially with young Black boys. Yeah, and of course, young women in tech is an issue that has to be addressed. But our boys, we're watching them,
The
we're losing them on the streets, people being killed, our young kids not really knowing what to do. And especially in this moment when the pandemic has caused so many of, our kids to have to go in their homes. They don't necessarily have the touch and feel of being in an environment that, and it's not even like the school was doing that much for them in the first place, because a lot of them were
yeah.
already being lost, but definitely now. And so how we bring these messages to these young kids, that's something that we need to focus on, because they're the future, they're the wave. And we appreciate you so much for coming to Street
Thank you.
Politicians today.
Yes.
Next time you
Thank
come
you.
back, we're going to talk about your new the relationship show that we've heard about, and try to figure out what's going on with your love life,
Your
brother.
love life.
Okay. Yeah. Listen, all I can say is pray for it. Pray for it.
I'm pretty. But I want to ask
Pray
one more
for it.
question before we go, because they just cut me off. But I just want to
Okay.
We're
know,
not cutting
before you
off. It's
leave,
just the brother
before
got
you
stuff to
leave, I know
do.
you got things to
No,
do,
I
but
got all the time in the world
look,
for
he
y'all.
got time for us.
Man,
I got
First,
time for
he
y'all.
gonna
Y'all
give me
listen.
my
Y'all a
song.
big deal.
He
Come
gonna
on.
make it.
Stop
Listen,
playing.
come
Y'all a
on.
big deal out here.
he
We
told you
everybody
going
look up to y'all out here. Everybody.
Well,
Y'all a
we look
big
up
deal
to.
out here.
Well, we
I
appreciate that,
swear to
King.
God, y'all a big deal out here for real. Y'all doing great things, big positive things, man.
Well,
thank
thank
you.
you. But I want to know this: do you have like any regrets throughout your career? Like when you look back and you see things, because a lot of people say no, everything made me better, so I don't regret anything. Do you feel like is anything throughout your career that's happened that you regret?
I had some regrets, man. I went through some great depressions, some dark ones. I mean, just the decisions I made. Like I felt like, when you make a plan, and I learned this over time. When it's the plan, stick to the plan. Because after every first single I would release, you would see I kind of stalled and nothing kind of happened. That was because I always changed the plan at the right, like the last 3 days of it. So with Wait a Minute, I was supposed to come out with a song called Out the Ghetto. For Real wanted me to come out with smash record classic. it gave the album a balance, but I wanted to stay turned up, and that decision wasn't right, and so the whole album crumbled. And even with One Wish, I had One Wish. We were at the top right there where we needed to be. The next song was Melody. I decided to go with What I Need at the final seconds, and it didn't work out right. And those two decisions kind of like messed me up inside, because you saw everybody else continue to soar, and just because I was stubborn and I didn't listen and I didn't want to give myself a balance where I had the turned up song and then you had the song with substance. You know, that's very important. I didn't get that at the time, and I fell hard. You know what I'm saying? And so now looking back at that, I know that being cool and trying to be, you know, with the streets or making sure the homies think you cool, all that shit don't matter. It don't matter at all, because they don't even think about that. They want to get out. They want to do positive things. They want to go out and be positive. So I think just those things I regretted. You know, I regretted the Fabulous fight, you know, and then it turned into being like an epic moment. I inducted them into the Hall of Fame. So it just, you know, certain things bother you at a certain time, and then later it evolves into something more positive. But I do have some regrets, but I'm happy that God got me here today, and it made me stronger. But over time, I regret it. So.
God got you here today.
Dope, man. I appreciate that. That's young boys. That's a testimony, man. When you hear, that's what evolution looks like. When you understand,
yeah, and you
could
be turned up, fam. You could still be turned up and do tech. You could do all this tech turned up. Like, they like it. Get out there and be yourself. Go out there and find a tech business. Go out there and look at some of these products online. They wholesale products. They're white label. So you can take a bike that's online and buy a wholesale and put your name on it. It's your bike. You know, look up white label products that you can just slap your name on. Start with that and then grow, you know?
And then grow.
We appreciate you, King, man. Thanks for all the jewels. You know, and continue to do your thing, man. We're gonna see you in this Forbes list next year.
That's right.
You know, we talking.
Anytime,
we talking
be a blessing.
Yes, sir.
For
man.
sure. But listen, and then let's talk, y'all. Hit my line, and then let's figure out how I can be a part of all the stuff going on. Giving back to the community this month.
Don't worry.
We got you. We definitely gonna follow up with that.
Thanks
I appreciate you, King. Love.
Thank
Peace.
you, man. Salute to both of y'all.
Peace.
God bless y'all. All right.
All right. Peace.
Peace.
So, you know, our local activist hour, the most special time of the entire show for me.
Yes.
For me, it just means a lot that we bring people on every single show and allow them to talk about the things that's happening in their communities, things that they're working on. But, you know, in this particular situation, although she wears the hat of being an activist extraordinaire, but she is a candidate extraordinaire right now for city council in Queens, New York.
Yes, she is.
That is our dear sister.
Our dear sister, Nantasha Williams, a.k.a. Nan Nan.
Nan Nan.
What's happening, Queen?
Nothing much. Thank you all so much for giving me this platform. I think that's one of the things that I admire about you all so much, is that you're not selfish about what you do. You're always willing to reach out and bring people along your journey. So I just appreciate y'all and love y'all for giving me this platform and sharing this.
So you ran before. Tell us about that experience, all that happened, and why do it again?
I ran before, and you know, it's only now that I realize how much naive I was, how much I was really a junior candidate, still wet behind the ears, because I feel so much more mature and aligned this go around. And I ran the first time because I still had that same passion and fire to play a role in our decision making, because as you said, I believe I like to be the connector, and I think that activism and people who are on the front lines are extremely important, and it is my goal to connect that fire and that energy to places of power. Like, that's just my thing. I feel like I was sort of born to do that, and so having that experience, having those connections, I wanted to leverage that and leverage my experience in Albany to really shape change, different type of change, not what we're used to. And there was an opportunity. The woman, the assembly member, had passed away in the seat, and so I decided to run. I quickly realized how much I was a government operative and not a political operative, because those are two different things. And I did not obviously get the seat, but I lost by like less than 1% of the vote. And I did
you
not
gotta
have
tell them how many votes.
How many votes?
Because you know I say
it was like
everywhere.
250 something.
Right.
Wow.
Less than 300 votes made the difference. So this idea that voting doesn't matter and my vote doesn't count is not true, because in your situation, if 300 more people would have gone to the polls,
Yep.
you would have won.
I really believe in divine alignment, and it wasn't my time. I went on, as you know, Tamika, to work with you on the Women's March, which is amazing. I met so many people, and I was able to grow as a leader, double down on my own advocacy, and learn things, develop, be more mature, and so I'm happy to have had those experiences, and I wouldn't have had those experiences if I would have won. And so here I am again running for office. It's an open seat in the 27th Council District, which is in Southeast Queens. It covers Cambria Heights, Queens Village, Hollis, St. Albans, parts of Jamaica, and parts of Springfield Gardens. And again, I still have that same passion, but at the core of why I really want to run for office is because I think people need to believe that change is possible. And I think we're seeing that if you look at what has transpired over the last couple of months, but we need people in office that understand what is happening on the grounds and that are really going to push a bold agenda and work with all people to do that. I believe in the inside-outside game. And so I'm just excited to bring a different energy and to inspire and educate people to be more involved. Like you said, I love to go out and protest. I love to support protesting, but after we protest or in between protesting, like, let's figure out who is in a position of power to really make those changes we want to see.
Nantasha, I do believe that you can and will win. I know one thing, that if people want to see folks like you, a person who is an activist, an organizer, and as you said, a government operator or operative, somebody who understands the ins and out of government and can apply a strategy that includes the streets in the dialogue, and make sure that you take the radical vision of community and bring it to government offices. That's what we say we want. And when we see someone like you who has all of those great things operating at once, we should fund it. We should make sure that we support you, not just in rhetoric, not just in words, but that we support you financially. So you said that the max out is how much?
So the city has a really good program. It's matching funds. So for every dollar that someone in New York gives, the city gives $8. The maximum an individual can give is $1,000. My fundraising goals for January 1st is to raise $50,000. And I need to meet that goal, and I'm working really hard to do that. So yes, any support you can give monetarily is greatly, greatly appreciated.
All right.
So if somebody gives you $1,000, then they're gonna give you 8,000, so it'd be 9,000.
There's the one caveat about that. So
Okay,
the max
now,
someone
Yeah,
can give you
get
is
them numbers, get it
$1,000,
right.
but they'll only match up to $175.
Oh, okay.
But the max out still is 1,000. So at least people should try to give you about $175 because you will get 8 times the matching funds for a $175 donation. People can give from anywhere around the country. This idea of local people running for office in different cities is a movement that needs to be connected. Like, we should be funding people. I give money all over the country to people who are not in my community. Of course, with certain types of budgets, people can only give $20, $30 to the person that's actually in their community, and that's important as well. But if we are able to give outside of our communities to people running in different parts of the country, what we're doing is it's like we're putting a team in place across the nation that can come with new ideas and new energy. So I'm definitely gonna max out. I'm gonna make I'm gonna make Mysonne max out.
You ain't gotta
as
make
well.
me. Listen, this is Nan Nan.
Nah, but you
Sure.
and Angelo, y'all don't like to give
that.
money, huh?
Please, but it's Nan Nan. I ain't gonna give my money to anybody. This is Nan Nan though.
That's right.
Thank you. And you can check out my webpage for more information. It's www.nantasha2021.com. And it's Nantasha2021.com on all social media platforms.
You heard her. Go
All
to the
right.
website.
There you go.
Peace.
City Council in Queens. Take care, Nantasha. We love you.
All right.
I love you more. Bye.
Peace. Nantasha's dope.
Natasha is awesome, man.
She really is.
And the more that if you listen, go follow her. She put her website up there. Donate 1,175 so they can match it. You know, we can't complain if we don't activate.
Right.
Like our sister
That's
Leslie
our Leslie
Redmond, another one of our
That's
dope
right.
sisters says, "Don't complain, activate." So
Yeah.
you know we got to support Nantasha.
Support Nantasha. She's a great leader. Nantasha's going to go out. She's going to go forward in life doing really big things.
Really big
and
things.
I have to say that when people see me, right, and they celebrate me and they go, "Oh, Tamika, Mallory, you know, whatever, you're doing amazing things." There's a team of individuals that help to hold me up. And Nantasha is one of those people that when I'm in the clutch, one, and two, when I'm in difficult situations, I can depend on Nantasha to help me with a strategic plan because she is a strategist. And so
definitely is.
I hope people support her. I know we will be supporting her. And that money is important. When you run for office, it's about money and votes. That's it.
Ain't nothing else.
That's
money
the
and
bottom
votes.
line. Money and votes. And we need to make sure that she gets the money and then also the vote.
The money
The money.
brings me to my I don't get it.
I don't get it.
I don't get it. Now we in the holidays, right?
Yeah.
And we in the pandemic.
We have a pandemic.
Why spend a bunch of money on clothes, all types of vehicle, all these things when we can't even go nowhere? We can't go nowhere, and you can't afford it.
You can't afford
Yo, you know what I mean? Like for the life of me, I always try to figure out why after the holidays people go into debt. You know what I'm saying? You done bought $1,000 worth of stuff, and you don't got no money to pay your rent. People like, y'all need to borrow rent money. What? Like, for real, how are you borrowing
This
rent
is
money
true. I'm not going to lie.
after you just spent $1,000 on a bunch of stuff that you don't even need and can't really use? Like, I really just don't get it. This is a real thing. Like, listen, man.
But there are lots of deals. There's lots of sales right now.
Yeah, it's a deal.
And deals. And so
It's not a
one
deal
day
if you
you're
can't
gonna be
afford
going
it.
back outside. So
But you can't
need
afford
to get
it, though.
the stuff now. It's like when during the pandemic at the very, very beginning, I was sitting in my house and a light bulb went off. Bing. Why don't you go check the websites and see what they're doing on sheets and bedding and towels and all of that? It was dirt cheap. Like, I was able to get the high quality, top of the line stuff that I would never pay for. Comforters that cost $500.
but what if you couldn't
I was
afford
able
it?
to get them for like $100.
But I'm just trying to say,
$99.
But what if you couldn't afford $99?
Well, obviously they can afford it because
No,
they
can't.
buying it.
No, they buying it, and then they asking you, can they borrow something?
Well, they got a strategy.
Yeah, that's a strategy. I can't afford it, and I'm gonna buy it anyway. Like, it's not the best strategy. It's like you planning to lose. It's like you practicing, like, yo, I'm practicing. We're gonna lose by 30. You know what I'm saying? Y'all going into the game knowing that you can't afford something, knowing that you shouldn't be buying it, and still doing it. It's like the weirdest mind state, man. I just
Well,
really don't get it.
It's a deal.
Listen.
You got to get the deals while they're hot.
But it's not a deal if you can't afford it. It's only a deal if it's something that is within your price range and you can afford things. Do not buy shoes, clothes, and you can't pay your rent, or you're going to make sure your lights and gas get cut off. It don't make sense.
No, because you could just borrow the money from your from your homie.
Nah, that's not what
And then that's it.
Nah,
and then you
man.
got the bag and the rent.
Nah.
It's a strategy.
Nah.
It's not a smart strategy. But all I'm saying, just to be transparent, there was a time in my life when
Where
I used
you
to
was that?
But I didn't have to borrow lots of money. But I still got to the point where I was like really struggling and stressing. But I was cute. But I kept my lights on. I did.
I was cute.
Now, I grew out of that.
Cute and broke.
I grew out of that.
Broke
I
and
grew
cute.
out of that big time. Now, I mean, I just purchased stock for the first time in my life. A few days ago, it was Angela Yee who was like, sis, you know, I'm seeing that you got some deals and some things is coming in. We need to focus on what we're going to invest in. And for her, she does a lot of real estate.
Exactly.
So, you know, and shout out to our sis Yee. You know, and she was like, you know, we could think about some projects that we can work on together. Specifically, she's in Michigan doing a lot of great work. Envy told me the same thing. Come to the classes. He tells us all the time.
Yeah.
Participate in the classes. Jay Morrison, get in these classes. 19 Keys. And then my cousin, Kim Abney from Atlanta, who works in the tech space and also does a lot of trading and business in the stock area. He started really trying to encourage me to get in. And so he suggested that I read one of Warren Buffett's his article that he did a article about his investments and what he just recently purchased and why he thought these particular companies were companies that he should support. And so I read it and I made some decisions and I bought my first shares of stock. So this is where I'm spending my money now.
It makes sense. That's what I did. I bought my first shares also, and we have to be a lot more intelligent, especially with our money. Like, we are never going to obtain wealth if we're spending more than we actually have.
Yeah, that's true.
If your outcome is more than your income,
your outcome is more than your income.
It don't really make sense. You know what I'm saying? Your outcome cannot.
And also teach it to our young children.
That's what it is,
that's the
man.
next thing.
Teaching generational wealth, teaching how to acquire wealth and keep it. It's not what you make, it's how much you keep.
Yeah.
And that's what we got to be intentional about. So that brings us to the close of another
great episode.
Great episode, man. Shout out to everybody.
Best number one podcast.
Number one, baby. In the world,
they
we
don't
number
have
one.
A better podcast. I was on.
Come on, son. Ain't nobody got
I was on Fat Joe's show one day, right? And he was like,
the Joker show.
Yeah, and he was like, this is the best show in the world. This is the number one show in the world. There's nothing better than it. If you're not on this show, you on no show. And I was like, like he had me hyped. Exactly. I was pumped.
Because he's speaking it to listen to me. When you believe in what you're doing and you pour into, once again, shout out to Fat Joe for his show because he had me up there too. But he loves what he does. You know what I'm saying, Joe?
The day that you was on Fat Joe's show, the police literally were chasing us in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And you were running while doing the interview, trying to make it to the safe house, which was the church, so we wouldn't get arrested before the curfew.
That's a fact.
That happened.
Are you live on the streets right now, Mysonne?
Live on the streets from Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky, man. We just finished having a march with the police, boxed us off. They had us all locked in for no reason. It was about a good couple thousand of us in the streets just protesting, and they boxed us all off, scared women and children. It's like they on some terrorist shit out here, Joe.
That brings me back to what I was saying is that you believe in what you do, and you talk about it like it's the best, I know a lot of people who got hired for positions that they never knew nothing about, but they walked in and they were so confident in themselves that somebody said, let me take a chance with you.
Yeah.
So that's a lesson for the youth out there, man. Believe in yourself, believe in your craft, believe in anything that you put your mind to that you can accomplish. So once again, we're not gonna always agree. I'm not gonna always be right. She's not gonna always be wrong.
Whatever.
But we will always be authentic.
That's a fact.
Facts. So listen, if you want to hear something on Street Politicians, you got topics, you got feedback. We already know we the greatest show in the world. You don't really got to tell us, but we don't mind you telling us. If you got some negative, you got some hate, we don't know how you can hate on this because this is actually the best show that you ever going to see or hear in the world. But we want to hear your feedback. So hashtag Street Politicians. Let us know what you feel. Let us know what you're thinking.
For new and old episodes, you can tune in to iWomanTV or listen every single Wednesday to the Black Effect Network on iHeartRadio.
One, son.